This is Nier Automata. We're on Xbox Series X taking a look at this really interesting multi-layered sort of experience where you're kind of roaming through things, not once, not twice, but in many ways in order to experience different things. So on Series X we retain the Xbox One X enhancements. That means we're getting a native 4K resolution, I guess, most of the time or something, and then there's like some weird effect they do at certain scenes or whatever. Whatever the case, it's a 4K resolution. We get 60 FPS. There is HDR support as well. And you're basically sort of exploring this lost world, I guess you could say. This lost planet in an attempt to assist your human owners, or well, you basically are an android of sorts working for humanity, I guess you could say, quote unquote. And if you're wondering why I'm specifically wording things like this, it's to keep things as a potential surprise for those that might be jumping into the game for the first time. So you might have different context in regards to things of the story. And if you've played the game, again, you should kind of have an idea of what I'm specifically sort of mentioning when it comes to the experience of this being a game where it's a little bit, like, it's a bit of a mystery, because you're sent here, clearly, by, you know, humanity to deal with the things. And then there's certain shifts to elements of the experience. I think we've already been here. And the game is like a 3D sort of action game. It just so happens that this particular scene is kind of like a... oh no, but it's more of like a 2D setup, this particular area, for whatever reason. I don't know if we want to go back there to show that area off.
I am definitely not the person to discuss this with.
I don't think I can stand spending one more day in this bunker.
You leaving would be bad for me. It would affect mission efficiency.
Are you saying you need me to be?
All Model B combat units require the assistance of an operator. So,
To be?
that's all. Closing this channel.
And it's also the elements of, I guess, a little bit of humanity within these droids, if that makes sense. And then there's the combat too, which uses a mix of these weird sword type things, some electronic type stuff. It's honestly a bit wild, and it's kind of also a little bit of an open world, if that makes sense, but at the same time also semi-linear in that regard too. Can't even remember the specific part that we're at in this particular save thing going on here. I think we're actually supposed to go back this way. We did like a big carnival thing or something like that, from what I remember. But yeah, it's just sort of this really lovely kind of journey and journeys through this mystical world that really does look quite enchanting. We could do fishing. That's kind of fun. But yeah, it looks really, really great here. Obviously, there's still, like, you're seeing some pop-in type stuff in the environment, but in general, I think it's quite a beautiful sort of game. I can't remember specifically if we had gone this way or not. I don't know if I'm throwing myself off the trail, but I'm just kind of wanting to explore and show off the gameplay here. I think it's a very interesting sort of game, and it takes a lot of time if you really want to fully experience what it has to offer. And it's got like a really cool, to me, the neatest part of it was, you know, what happened in this world, and I think that's kind of cool. I don't know if I really want to specifically fight that kind of thing. It's very weird, because there's an element of like these robots that are holding on to things, and there's boss fights, and you know, there's many locations that you have to like kind of visit and explore, and it's just kind of really wondrous in terms of how they, you know, set up these places and these goals and these missions and these things that you have to explore. I just think it's really creative what they've kind of done with it in this one. It's definitely such a cool universe, and it was my first real dive into the Nier franchise. And it's really cool because I want to see more of what they have to offer, because I know they're doing another prequel remastering or something like that, or whatever. Replicant is coming eventually. And it's just like, if it's more of stuff like this, I think mood-wise and atmosphere-wise, to me it's quite enticing as being a fascinating sort of thing. Animal bait. Wah. Trying to show off a little bit of the combat so you can see the fluidity here. Because I don't know if we're directly... I guess we could try fighting the giant thingy here, but I don't know if I really want to show that off. It's just kind of doing its thing. There's some really weird creature type things in this world, if that makes sense. Like, it very much is a lost society, as to say. That just looks absolutely enchanting. It's one of the more beautiful post-apocalyptic worlds, I think. You can definitely see a level of reclaimed land, that's for sure. Looks like we got some robots. Then we get map information. And we can continue on our adventure, exploring this lovely area. Oh look, there's a creature, that's nice. But yeah, this is definitely a different kind of changed world, and I'm not heavily discussing anything, because, I don't know, I think it's fun to explore and discover yourself. And also, it's kind of nice just to listen to the music a little bit in this one, because they did a really good job with it. And we're going to change that angle up a little bit. Yeah, they definitely, the very, very detailed character, that's for sure. But you can see, like, just even out of the slice here, that there's a lot of little areas that you can kind of go off to and discover and see things, which is kind of neat. Like, who knows what you'll come across on this human-based journey. Is that like an elk? Because we saw a rhino earlier. It's kind of cool. But here you can see we've got, like, our little droids for shooting stuff. We do combat with swords. It's just got like a really fluid style of combat to it that I think is really graceful, I suppose you could say. Quite majestic. And it's filled with surprises. Like, it's a kind of a simple world, but at the same time one that's detailed enough that you kind of be like, what exactly went on here? What was this? What's the bigger story behind this, And I think that's kind of fascinating, at least to me, in terms of discovering these types of places and seeing these hidden things. It's kind of cool. And you do have actual, like, missions and stuff that you're going on. Like I said, some boss fights, lots of enemies. It's many things to discover, like a passive sort of online component to it as well. It's really cool to see this available on the platform, because it really wasn't something that I kind of expected to see, I guess. It was a bit of a surprise, this one. So that kind of made it a little bit, I don't know, more delightful than the fact that it arrived on the platform. I just think it was a really cool addition to it. And it looks absolutely stunning. Like visually, I think it's really quite a cool aesthetic. And I love how our team kind of just battles, so, like, it's graceful. That's the big thing, right? Like, this is like a very graceful type of combat. And that's generally why I'm saying some people might find this to be really cool, just in terms of not only the gameplay for combat, but also in the sense of mystery of this world. Because I hope for the biggest part of it, if you've never seen this game before, you're kind of looking at it and you're being like, what is going on? What is this? What's happened here? What is this place? and just being completely confused almost. I think this is the desert area. Oh yeah, it's the desert. I don't know if I want to go back here.
For all of our brave androids fighting on the surface. It has been several millennia since the aliens and their advanced force, the machine lifeforms, attacked us. Millennia since mankind was forced to evacuate to the surface of the moon.
Good context here.
But thanks to your continued struggle, we have been able to survive. You, our android soldiers, are the last hope of humanity. We look forward to your continued success in combat. Glory to mankind.
Glory to mankind indeed. Yay, we got a new ally. See, isn't that an interesting mechanic? That's what I'm saying, is there's like this interesting level of connectivity to it and what you're doing, the places you're visiting, and the things you're trying to achieve as you fight for humanity in a lost world. Anyways, that was kind of a look at Automata. Oh, where'd our ally go? Did they already die? That was pretty fast. Definitely did not last long here, if you know what I'm talking about.